Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to ClaritySoft's weekly webinar. Today is Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019, and our topic for today is a guide for system administrators. I'm Susan Arnold, Implementation Specialist here at ClaritySoft. Topics for today will be concentrating on the settings menu in ClaritySoft. When you first log into your database as a brand new user, there are different settings that you want to do to configure your database. And the person who is designated as the admin user has the rights to do that in the database. Other users may not have those same rights. So some of you in the session today may be an admin user and some of you may not. So when you go into your ClaritySoft, if you do not see all of the settings options that we're covering today, that just simply means you are not set as an admin user in your particular database. And you might have to talk to someone to get changes made or, ideas that you would like implemented in the database. Okay. So our topics today will be basic administrator setup, which is really going through all the different settings options under the settings menu, which will include users, entering new users into the system and setting up what we call their access profile, configuring those access profiles so that the users are seeing the modules that you are using in the database and have certain rights in the database that you want those users to have. Then the all-important one is adding custom fields to your database to make ClaritySoft fit your business. ClaritySoft is fairly generic when you first log into it. You have, company name, address, phone number, things like that. But you may then want to add custom fields like, well, what type of account is this? What's the status of the account? What industry or market segment is it in? All these different things that make it easier for you to search a list of accounts and pull up the ones that you want to see by these different categories. So we will learn how to put in custom fields and set them up so that you can set up your screen layout for them in what we call the user interface templates. So, and the customizations go along with the custom fields. What other customizations we have in the database for you to set up so that this database becomes yours in the system. As I work, if you have any questions, there is a Q&A panel in Zoom meetings, so type your question in there and then I will get to the question as, before the end of the webinar. So just put them there. All right, so where do I want to go here? Here is my ClaritySoft database. Now, I'm sure all of you have already logged into your database and have a general login to get in. Maybe all of you have been using it for a while. But you log into your database, and to get to all of the settings, you go to this gear-shaped button in the upper right corner. This is your settings button. You also can access it underneath your name and settings. Either one will take you to the same place. So when I click on settings, I end up here. Actually, where you're going to end up by default is under the grouping called My Settings and then Preferences. What we have here are different groups. My Settings is what a non-admin user will see in the database. That non-admin user will not see anything below the My Settings group. All right. So the individual user has some ability to come in here and set some preferences and do some things in the settings. And then all of this is for the admin user. So we'll quickly go through this here under the My Settings. The first thing that the user can set are these preferences, which would be to put in your time zone, what date format do you want to see. each individual user can see a different date format. You can set a global date format, but then a user might want to see it differently. So the user can change it and the system reformats for that particular user. Most standard one is month, day, year. If you're in Canada, then you can go to the one of the other two, or Europe, I believe, does this one. So, but this is our pretty standard one here in the US. For the work week, this is your calendar view in ClaritySoft. You can choose which calendar view is your default when you go to the calendar in ClaritySoft. So you come here and you choose which one you prefer to see. And again, each person can see it differently. And then your last choice here is the default module. When you log into ClaritySoft, where do you want to land? You may land in the home screen, which is the one that has different charts and key indicators on it. You might want to land directly in the activities module. So you choose which module you want to go to when you first log in, and then that will do that. A comment on the time zone, because this does get confusing. Note here, there's no drop down. And so if you're in, say, Central Time, what you have to do is select this and just start typing Central, and you'll see all the different options for Central Time display. And you want to go to Central Standard Time, okay? The reason we've done this is we have all of the time zones for the whole world listed in here, but rather than have this giant drop-down list, we let you start typing your time zone, and then it pulls up the ones that match the typing. So I know people do get confused on that sometimes. So that's how you change it there, all right? So once you do that, you click apply, and those changes are saved, and then will apply from now on in the database. So that is one thing that the user can do. The other thing that you'll want your user to do when they first log in is go to this My Information and put in their information here, because then this gets used later in the database for quotes or invoicing or that sort of thing. So if they fill in the information here, then they do not need to fill it in later. Okay, so they would go through and fill all that information in, and then again save it. Okay. Then we have the all-important one here, and you can set this up for the user, or the user can set it up. There are two places to go. Email settings here will pull up the current user that's logged in, and these are your Outlook outgoing settings, or Gmail. So it's your outgoing email settings that you want to set up here. You fill in the information and then apply it to save it, and then click this Save and Test button, and it will tell you it either has failed in the connection or it has done it successfully, okay? So yours will be different than mine, so don't take this as what you need to type in. If you are using Office 365, you will put this part in, outlook.office365.com. This section here may be different, or you may not need it. So you'll just need to follow the directions on that one, all right? And then we'll come back to these. These are email templates. All of the users are able to create and save their own email templates that then can be used as sort of standard templates that can be sent out at any time. And once an email template is created and saved by someone, it then also can be shared by with the other users in the system. So maybe someone's really good at creating those templates, that person creates and saves them and then shares them with everyone else. Email signature. This kind of goes along with your settings. You want to create your email signature in here so that when you create an email in ClaritySoft, it will display automatically in the email. And you can create it from scratch here, or you can copy and paste it in from your Outlook. The only thing that you have to do once you copy and paste it is that you need to upload the logo so that it displays properly. We'll come back to that if we have time to go into detail on that. The next webinar that we have, All Things Email, will absolutely go into detail on doing this. So I just want you to know it's there, all right? Then we get down here, navigation menu very quickly. Each user can decide what order your navigation menu is in. For example, if you use the leads module and you'd prefer it to be at the top of the list, not in the middle because it's leads, accounts, contacts, then you can click on this, click your up triangle to move it up, and then it will change the order. Again, this is an individual control, so each user could have these options and modules in different order, all right? And then when you apply it. Then the themes is pretty simple. If you want to change your color scheme, you can. So if I want to go to this blue, it will apply it when I go back out. If the user wants to change a password, then the user is able to change their password if they wish. Audit log you may or may not see. So these are all user options that each user can set. And you just need to be aware of that as an admin user. All right, now let's get into the other part. This is for the admin user only to be able to change. System settings are things that will apply to the whole system. And we have a general category. Here you would put in your company name. Again, enter your time zone for where your corporate office is. Now, it's possible that you have a corporate office in Eastern Time and you have salespeople or users in Central or Pacific. They can be anywhere. So the user can set a different time zone than what the actual corporate office is. So this is what would be, and it works the same way. There isn't a drop down, so select the text, start typing the zone where you're in until you see it. And then the same thing here, this is the global date format for the whole database, but the user can change it. Here, your financial year, you want to indicate what month does your fiscal year start. Does it start January? Does it start March? Does it start July? Because you want this set properly, then the reports that are using time filters for this quarter, next quarter, that sort of thing, this year will calculate correctly. So that's important to set when your financial year starts. Your currency symbol is here. For the most part, it's the $sign. Allow global search defaults to being no, but if you plan to use the leads module in ClaritySoft, you want to turn it on to yes, because the global search lets you search in leads module, accounts module, contacts module, all at the same time, looking for either a person or a company name. So I would recommend just turning this on pretty much no matter what, because then it's on if you decide to use leads. And if you don't decide to use leads, that's okay too. And then the dashboard performance, probably real time is fine unless you find things getting rather slow, then you can turn it on to cache performance. This just means that when you add new data into the database and you then go view a dashboard or a chart, it will be current in the numbers. So that's what that means in real time. So again, apply and save it. Oh, I have to put a company name in. Okay. Then system notifications, this you don't really need to do anything with. There are different notifications that send out of ClaritySoft, and they're already set up in here to do for different types of notifications. If you have issues with these, then I would talk to tech support team and maybe you can put your own in. But for the most part, these should be fine and you shouldn't need to do anything with those. Module names. You are able to change the names of the modules. However, if you change accounts, say to customers or something like that, or clients or companies, it will change it in the heading of the module, the name of the module, and the navigation panel, but it will not change it anywhere else. The column heading for accounts will still say account and not company. So I've had people do this, and most of the time after they've used it for a bit, they tend to go back. So you can try it if you want, but I don't know that it's terribly useful, okay? Just a hint. Okay, logo, you are able to enter your logo so that it appears at the top of the navigation pane. You just need to get it in a small enough size to be able to be inserted into a small rectangular area. And so you can add that, and then you also can add, if you click on the logo, you can put the link to your website or wherever you want it to go when you click on the logo. So that can be added. Name prefixes and name suffixes. In ClaritySoft, the name parts are all split out into all the parts. You have a prefix, which would be Mr., Ms., Mrs., Doctor, whatever. Then a first name, a middle name, a last name, and a suffix name. And when you're importing data into ClaritySoft, all the names have to be split out into all those separate parts. If you want prefixes in the database, you can import them, but then as you add new people in and you would want to add a prefix, then you need to come here and click the add button and then put in the prefix name that you want and save it and create a drop-down list. Most of the people I work with don't use this a whole lot because they're not working very formally, but there are some industries or areas where you do need it. And so you may want to create a drop-down list for that. And then suffixes are the same way. These could be, you know, the first, the second, junior, senior. They also could be professional suffixes like MD and PhD. And then in the engineering area, you have a lot of different suffix types for the engineering area. So you can create a list here of all your different types of suffixes that you want by clicking add. Just a heads up on the suffixes. Especially in the engineering area, some people might have multiple suffixes against their name. This drop-down list for suffixes is single select. So if you have a combination that you absolutely have to have for a person, you will have to add it in here as the combination so it's part of the list. Just to give you a heads up on that one, okay? It'll prevent a call to tech support. Right. Lead sources. Lead sources are global to the database, and that's why they're under the system settings. So when you create a list here of all your different ways that your clients, your customers come to you, you can make a list here, and this list can be as long as you need with all the different options that you need. Again, this is going to be a single select list for you, but you may add as many as you like. You just simply click the add button, type what you want, and save it. And you can add as many as you like to the list, okay? So those are your system settings. And now we're moving into the users and access. In your ClaritySoft database, you're going to add your different users. And depending upon how many licenses you purchase, you will be able to add that many users as part of the system. When you are first sent your database with the login credentials, we usually send you one with an admin login, and it has a generic password and then your database name, and you can log in using that, and then you could immediately begin to add your other users to the system. If you want to, you can change this admin login to your own name. You can open it, and then you can change the first name and last name to your name, put your information in here, put the login name that you want, so that you then, in a sense, it doesn't matter because it's not really a special login. What makes it admin user is this checkbox down here. So as long as that checkbox is checked, that means you are an admin user in the database, okay? And you can see, where am I? If I open my record, and you can see over here how many people are marked as admin users. We would definitely not recommend this, but a lot of the ClaritySoft people are in this. But we would recommend, if you have quite a few people, that you have, maybe 2, max 3 admin users in your system, just because you want to make sure that you aren't stepping on each other's toes when you're going in to add customization. So you want to keep each other informed about things. So again, you fill in the information for your user, and one of the things that you're going to select is the profile. This is your access profile. And you have different ones. All means that the person can see all records in the database, no matter who the owner of the record is. Individual means that the person can see only those records where that person is the owner. They cannot see anyone else's, which sometimes people want. Manager sets a person as a manager, which then from that point forward, you can have other people report to the manager. You see a reports to here. And then that manager can see his or her own records plus the records of those that report to him or her. And then the users can see, they cannot see upward to the manager's records, but they can see their own, and I believe they can see sideways to the other people who report to that same manager. Team we don't use anymore, that's for ClaritySoft offline. And then terminated is important to understand. If you have a person leave, you want to come into their user record. You do not delete them. You terminate them. You mark their profile as terminated, and you go down and you click in this checkbox for deactivate and save it. By doing that, you have set so they can no longer log into ClaritySoft. If they try to log into ClaritySoft, they cannot, okay? You have also freed up a license so that you can then add a new person in with that license. So this person who's deactivated will stay in the database because all the activities and everything that they've done, all the history, you still want, because the new person coming in that might take over those accounts needs to see that information, and you know who created it. So you want to, like I said, profile goes to terminated, checkbox deactivate, and that will prevent them from logging in and free up a license for you to add a new person, all right? Again, you would set the time zone for the person in here. I haven't ever done that, so I should. And then user types are optional. You can define user types. You see them over here. These are allow you to categorize your users for filtering and reporting purposes. So if you wanted to find all of the sales records, let's say, that were created by or completed by the inside sales team versus the outside sales team, then you can set up these user types and then assign each person to one or the other user type. And then the regions, you could have, you know, if you have different regions, sale regions that you work in, you could find sales by region. So these are optional. You don't have to use them, but they are available for you to use once you define your user types over here. And they can be any, you know, any type of category that helps you pull out your reports in the way that you want, okay? And then groups are another one. If a person has been set as an individual user in the database, then that person, as I said, cannot see beyond their own records. However, maybe you want all of the people that are inside salespeople to see each other's records, or inside sales region A to see each other's records. In that case, you can create a group and you define it over here, which we'll look at in a minute, and then you assign that person as the member of a group and having visibility into certain groups. So there's a lot of control that you can have within the database of what records a user may see. And you can do it, first of all, by restricting them to their own, and then begin to expand outward, either by making them a member of a group where the people in the group see each other's records and not anyone else's. They could be a member of a group and then have visibility into a second group. Or you can come down here and choose an individual user where they're not a member of a group, but they could see, you know, this person's records and this person's records. So you can choose all of that either individually, put them in groups, whatever way you want, and then you can change it at any time. If somebody moves to a different group, you can move them to the other group. So your user record here, you want to make sure you fill in all the information. And then if they're not an admin user, that's not checked. Okay, that's only for a person who would become an admin user. And then you save it. Now, if you have a lot of users, you can see right here, import. And there's a template that you can download. Then you can fill this in Excel, and then you would come back, choose the file, and then you can import your users. So you don't have to type in, you know, 10, 15, 20 people. If you have that many licenses, you can import them into ClaritySoft, okay, as a user. So that's there. All right. And then this email settings, if you are the person who knows the email settings or your IT person does, you can come to this section, users and access, and go to user email settings. Then you can go down the line here and you can see all the users, and you can set the settings for each individual user in your user list. So the users themselves don't have to do it, you can do it. And maybe the only thing the user might need to do when that person first logs in is go to the email password and type in their email password and test it. But all the other connection settings will be set up. So this is where I usually send people that are the admin person, is to do your user email settings here. And then that way it makes it easier, okay? And notice too, there is an import function for that as well. So if everybody has the same setup here, then you could import, there's a template for it, and then again, only thing that would have to be done in the end would be the email password. All right? So that makes that easy. All right. Access profiles. These are the different access profiles that you saw in the user record. You can also create your own custom ones, and this is where you control what people can do in the database. So if I open the All Access profile, click on it. Should I click on it? Okay, where did my mouse go? There it is. So the access profile name is all. You can put a description in, and then in the all access profile, the person is considered a salesperson, which means their information will go into the sales reports, okay? Then this is also set where the person is considered a lead manager. And that means that in the leads module, this person, whoever has an all access profile, would be able to reassign the owner of the leads. So you want to look at your all access profile to start with and see what the settings are, and then decide, well, I don't want everyone to be a lead manager, or I don't want everyone to be able to delete records. They need to see these modules, or maybe some people don't see all the modules. So you want to look at this first, see what the options are, and then say, all right, I think I want to create my own custom access profile to assign to some of the people. So you want to look at this. So here, first of all, you're deciding what modules do you see? They're visible. Can a person create a new record for each of the visible modules? Can they edit their own record? And then you get into, can they delete their own record? This is where it gets a little sticky, because sometimes you don't want people to be able to delete accounts and contacts because they could be dangerous in the database. And you want that control yourself. So what I usually recommend is you give them the ability to delete activities in calendar, but turn it off for everything else. And then if you need to turn it on, you can. And then editing shared means a record that actually belongs to someone else, that they would be able to go in and edit it. And if you don't want them to be able to do that, you turn all that off. And the same thing with delete shared. You turn off everything there. So that's what you want to decide. And then feature access are different features that they can do. A mass email means sending emails out to a minimum of 2 people. So you definitely want them to be able to do that, okay? Export to Excel means I can select records in a module and then export them out to an Excel spreadsheet. Merging accounts means if there are duplicate accounts or contacts, they can merge the two together. Again, you may or may not trust your people to do that, so you can turn that function off. Importing data, you may not want them importing data. You want to have control over that. So you get to choose here. Action plans you might not see just because you might not have them turned on. But again, if action plans are there, do you want them to be able to create the action plans, or do you want to be able to do it, or someone else? And then Excel reports are being able to view and see Excel reports. So again, you go through all of these and say, yes, they can do this. No, they cannot do that. All right. Now, what you want to do is maintain a profile for yourself if you are the admin user that gives you all these rights, because you don't want to restrict yourself. So that's why I say you probably want to create another custom profile that you assign to your other people. You maintain the all profile for yourself, but then you create another one for your people, okay? And then here's report permissions. What can they do? I don't know why those are turned off, I guess. And again, for reports, do you want them to be able to create and edit? So for yourself, as an admin user, this is what you'd want to be able to do, okay? And then sales stage access. When you create sales stages in the opportunities module, you could have, on this particular database, we have an inside sales team and an outside sales team. It's possible the inside team follows different sales stages than the outside team, so you can create all the sales stages that you would use, and then for a particular access profile, you set which ones are visible to that profile, okay? So those are all the options in here that you want to take some time to go through and think through what people can and cannot do, and then save it. Now, let me just give you an example of creating a new one. You simply click Add, and then let's say I want the access to be all. I usually like to prefix it with whether it's individual or all, and then you can't use a slash, you can use a hyphen, and then I could say sales team, okay? And I would definitely want them to be a salesperson. I might not want them to be lead manager because maybe I do the leads or someone else does. Here's your data access right here. It's kind of hidden, but you click here and you get, this is indeed an all access profile. And then let's say in your database, you are not using the sales module, okay? And you don't want them to delete these records, okay? And the reason accounts is one you don't necessarily want them to delete is when you delete an account, it not only deletes the account record, it deletes everything associated with the account, all the contacts, all the activities, all the opportunities. So that one can be dangerous. And then again, you may not want them to be able to edit shared records. Okay. But I want them, and maybe not activities and calendar here. Okay. So you set the features. If I turn off this and this and this, and then save it. Then I can go and assign this profile to a user. So I can go back to my users here, and let's say, okay, I'm going to set Amy to, first of all, I'm going to change her password so I can get in, since I do not know what it is. And then see here where the profile is, I now have all sales team. So I would set that and then go down and save it. And then when I log in, or when Amy logs in, she will not see the sales module, and she will not have the ability to merge accounts and contacts, nor to, did I say import? So those things will not be allowed. So that's what your access profiles are. And you want to take some time thinking through that information, all right? Okay, so after you've decided all of that, then you get to the customization, and then these are other decisions to make here, because now this is each module, and for each module, you have the ability to add custom fields, set preferences. These are, you can have lead numbers created if you want, that are kind of like a lead account number. If you want, you do not have to use those. You can customize lead stages when someone's in the leads record or leads module. What are the stages or steps you go through to qualify them? These can be anything that you want. And then lead quality is another one where you can put in your quality. It can be good, average, bad, hot, warm, cold. Again, terminology that you already use in your business if you use it, and you're just kind of standardizing it in here so that people understand it, and it helps them categorize the different leads as you work with them. Now in the custom fields, I've already got a couple of them here. I've got one called import source, and I wanted to mention this one. This one doesn't come with ClaritySoft, but we highly recommend that you create an import source field in all your different modules where you are going to be importing data. And it should just be a text field, doesn't need to be anything else. And the purpose of this field is when you have an import list to bring into ClaritySoft, you will add a column to your spreadsheet called import source, and you will put the name of the file or something that identifies this list and copy it all the way down for all the records. That way, when you import the list, it will put that file name or that list name in this import source field, and you can then filter it if you need to pull it out by that list. Sometimes you might make a mistake on an import and you already have data in the database, and then it makes it much easier for you to pull up that list that you just goofed on and then delete those records and start again. So this is just an insurance type field that we recommend you put in. And then I had already added this field, which for territory, this is simply a drop-down custom field. You have different types of custom fields, and then I put in the choices. Now I'm going to add another one. I want to say that I would like a custom field in my leads module that is industry type. Because as I'm working with a lead, I want to know what industry they're in so I can search by industry. So I would go to customization, leads, custom fields, add, and I can type industry type, market, whatever you want the name to be. Try to keep your names somewhat short, because as you put them in the columns, if you have this giant long name, it's going to take up a lot of space. I might even just put this as industry, okay? And then instead of a text field, I want to make this a drop-down, either a single select drop-down or a multi-select drop-down. If I think that some people might fit into two different industries, then I can make it a multi-select. And as soon as I choose that, then I get a box where I can type my industries. And then you get to put up with my miserable typing. So and then you put in your list. Now, if you want this in alphabetical order, you need to type it in alphabetical order. It does not do it for you, okay? I just randomly typed it. So you would think of all the possible industry types that you would have and put them in your list and then click Save. So we now have that field in here, okay? And then I can add another one. Perhaps when I'm talking to a lead, I'm trying to determine things like, well, what kind of products, categories are they interested in for our company? Or, whatever. Again, this one I'm going to make a single select and very simple. You're not going to put your entire product list here, but you're going to put in, the categories if that's what you want to know. You could put, you know, what's their, when are they interested in purchasing? And you could make a drop down of 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 9 months, you know, that kind of thing. What you're trying to put in the leads module are the pieces of information you're attempting to gather from people so that you're qualifying them, all right? Now, another thing for the leads, if you use the leads module and you put custom fields in it, you then are able to take those custom fields and duplicate them in the accounts module. You can see here I already have the territory field here. And so what I want to do very quickly is go back to my leads. I'm going to open this industry field, copy this, and I'm going to go to accounts. Add industry. I want to make it the same type and save it. Now, if I also want this, say, in the opportunities module, while I still have that text copied, I'm going to go there. And paste there, okay? So I can do that, and then I'll very quickly duplicate the product interest. So I can do this, copy. Oops, where am I? This field name and the data type need to be the same. What will happen when you convert the lead and create a new opportunity record during that conversion process, ClaritySoft will transfer the data. And this is a design feature to think about. Okay, so I've done all that. And I would continue to add my custom fields in the, you know, whatever you've decided that you want, you continue to add your custom fields. Once you've done that, your next step is to go to this user interface template. And here you get to design your screen layout. So I'm going to go to the leads template first. Doesn't matter. And then when I click here, I've got the different access profiles, okay? Now what we've done to make this easy for you is if you go to the base template, this will give you the base layout of the fields in the leads record, okay? And over here is territory, which I can drag across. I'm gonna stick these up here. And I've got product interest. You may put these anywhere you want, does not matter. And then I have import source. I'm going to stick that over here because we really don't use that field other than as a holding tank. Then you can look at your other fields that you have here and decide, well, do I want all of these? Do I not want some of these? If you don't want them, drag them to the left. For example, if you only work in the US, you never go outside the country, then the country field's kind of a moot point. So you could pull this over to the side and say, I don't need it, all right? And then when you're done, you click Save. It'll say it's saved. And then what I want to do, because this is my master, I want to copy this to the all one and the all sales team. Now what I do, just because it's easier, is I just say go to everything. Whether I use it or not, it's there. And then if I do use an individual one, it's already done. So that's what I just tell everybody to do, is copy it to everything, click save, and that template is now set up. So then I'm going to click the back button up here, which takes me back to my list of templates. And I'm going to go to the account one. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to choose the base template, pull these over. And again, you can put these in the same position or you can put them somewhere else. What, you know, it's up to you. And you can come in and change it at any time. I'll put this over here. Now I'm going to pull this one away because we're not using that. All right. And then another one you might want to bring over is this lead conversion date. This will tell you the date that you actually converted the lead to create the account record, which might be interesting to know. And then I'm going to click Save. And then copy to. And I'll do the same thing, just check them all. And I can just click away from that. So save it. All right, once you have done all of that, then you need to log out and log back in. And again, you would just work your way down all your user interface templates wherever you've done custom fields and set them all up. So I'm going to log out and then log back in. And when I go back in and open a leads record, see, now my leads are up at the top and my color is a different, slightly different blue. Oh, good. I have a lead in here. Wasn't sure if I did. Okay. So if I take this lead and now I see territory, product interest, and industry. So I can say, where in the world are they? They're out west. Oh, I didn't fix this here. Uh-oh. Well, I'll put them in the Midwest. They're in Montana. That's not Midwest. I forgot to fix this list. Uh-oh. Okay. Then product interest. They're a standard widget. Industry. They are, yeah, we'll put them in food and beverage. Okay. So I can fill in that information, save and close my lead. Then when I convert my lead, it will transfer the data. So it's going to go to here. It's going to be assigned to, oops, slipped. Okay, and I'm going to create the opportunity. So when I do that, it converts my lead. And if I go to accounts then, and I open my account record, there's my territory, there's my industry, there's my product interest. So I don't have to fill this out. So that's one thing to consider. I know many times people aren't sure whether they're going to use the leads module, and it is optional whether you use it or not, but that's one thing to consider in the design, is that all these custom fields that you can gather data in the leads record will transfer anywhere else. They will go to the account, they can go into the contact, they can go into the opportunity. From the opportunity, you can put the same fields in quotes and sales, and it'll flow throughout the entire database. So I always kind of lean towards doing that if possible. The other advantage to using the leads module is in your settings, we do have integrations where you can, or web forms, sorry, wrong thing. You can set up a leads web form. So if you have a website and you have a web form out on that website, you can have it filled in. And you pick the fields, including your custom fields. See, your custom fields are here. and you put those into here, and once you set this all up and create the template, it will generate the HTML code that then you can hand to your web developer, and then they can insert it, and it will make the connection between your website and the leads module, so that when people go to your website, fill out the form, that information will come directly into the leads module in ClaritySoft, and then you can take it from there. So that's another reason to use the leads module, even if it's almost an instant pass-through, that it comes into leads, you immediately convert it without qualifying it, you just convert it, that's fine. But it does give it a place for it to go. So that's another one there. Okay, so that's our customization, going through, adding your custom fields, and you just go down through all of your different modules. When you click on the module, it will have the things that you can set up, and then you just go down through and set them up, okay? And then once you're done with all of that, make sure you go to that user interface template if you've added custom fields. If you've just changed options and things, you still need to log out and log back in. So if in doubt, log out, all right? Then also in ClaritySoft, you do have the ability to put a price book in. And so you can go to products and pricing and the price book, and then you can add a price book. Now when you get here, it looks a little stark. So you go over here to list actions, and you say add group. And then you can give a group a name. This would be like a category. It could be the name of a manufacturer if you work with different manufacturers for different ones of your products. It could be a manufacturer name. It could be a product category name. Whatever organization you either already have set up in pricing or that you want to set up. So if I have widgets, it adds a folder over here, and then I can click on it and then go back to list actions, and I can either add a subgroup or subfolder, or I can go directly to add an item, okay? And then I can put my items in. Now, if you have hundreds of items, we can import them, okay? So we do need to use the offline version of ClaritySoft to do the import currently, but we can do it. And you're either, you know, your implementation person can help you with that, or tech support would help you with that. There, if you go to the support portal, there is a template, an import template for products that you can download, and then you can set it up. But you can ask for help on that too. So you can bring your products into the price book, and then those products show up in your opportunities, quotes, and sales under the products and services tab. So those are all the different customizations that you can do in ClaritySoft. So like I said before, take some time if you're just getting started, view these things, and think through how you want things organized and set up. And then also, if you've already been using ClaritySoft, there isn't any reason why you can't go in and make some changes. Maybe there's some additional custom fields you would like to have, or maybe some different options under a drop-down list. Don't delete a field, because when you delete a field, you delete all the data in that field. I mean, if you definitely don't want to ever use it again, you can delete it, but it's better to disable it. And then the data is still there, you just don't see the option anymore. Or you remove it from view in the user interface template. Now, I did want to log out and log in as Amy, because you saw me change her access profile to the sales team one. So when she logs in, and this is the other nice thing when you're doing setup, if you set up your users and you are setting different access profiles for them, You can set a password that you know and then log in as that person and see what they're supposed to see and test it. So you can see there is no sales module here, okay? If I go to the accounts and I click on list actions, there is no merge because I did not give her that option. And if I go to the tools menu, there is no import. It would normally be here, okay? So the user will see what you've said the user should see. Now, a third user that I did before, I set as an individual. So when I log in for him, he will see one record, not the 3 that were there, because there was one record that belongs to Jim. All the other 2 belong to me. So when he gets in here, he will see just one record. So that's it, even though the other ones are there, okay? That's why it's important to turn on that global search for people that are individual users, because then he can search for a company and see, so you can include leads, you can include contacts, and then he could search for Happy, pull up the company and the contact, and then see who the owner is. Because normally he would not know that company's in the database, but that's the purpose of the global search. All righty? So that covers everything that I wanted to cover. We made it. We're just a minute late on letting you out. Hopefully this has helped clarify some questions you might have had on the settings, or maybe giving you some ideas of some things you want to investigate a little further in the settings and the customization. And again, if you have any issues or questions, you're either going to contact your implementation person, either myself or Linda, depending on who you're working with, or you're going to call the support team here at their number 888-838-7487 extension 2, or email them at support@claritysoft.com. And then they will be able to help you with any questions that you have. And again, future topics, email us at info@claritysoft.com, because we like to get new ideas for new topics on the webinars. So send us some thoughts. All right, well, with that, I will let you go. Have a wonderful 4th of July holiday, and we'll talk to you next week for the next webinar. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.